Let's move to GE. Those shares, which have been beaten down and battered, as you know, are rallying big time today. That's after the #1 industrials analyst, longtime bear, Stephen Tusa of J.P. Morgan, upgraded the stock today to neutral from underweight. Not surprisingly, we've made it our call of the day because he really has had the call of the year when you want to look back and talk about it. So what do we do with GE? Pete, I go to you. You said it was going to single digits. It has.
Then I said 5.
Tusa's been,
I still think 5.
Tusa's been right on this call. Now, if it's bottomed, do you buy it?
I don't think it's bottomed. I don't think Tusa thinks it's bottomed. When you really go through this note, he talks about, hey, my price target is still $6.
Right.
If he felt like this thing had bottomed, he would have upgraded all the way from where he was up to a buy rather than a neutral. But when you really read through his note, he talks about free cash flow and that being an issue. All the various elements of what's still a problem. Basically, he says, you know what? I've had a great call. I've had a great run.
Well,
I'm sticking with my price target.
But if he thought it was going to, dare I say, zero, he wouldn't
he definitely
take the sell-off.
He is basically, you're right. You're correct.
So in some respects, he's calling a bottom.
I don't know that he's calling a bottom. He's saying it's not going. No. What he's saying is it's not going to zero. Because I think originally you're right.
Well, I think many people. If he thought it was going to 3, he wouldn't have taken it off underweight.
Well, I don't know if he thought it was going to 3, but I think he was. Well, he still left it at 6, and maybe a little
50
bit.
Cents?
Okay, so look at it the other way. Where does he think it's going on the upside? 8.
Max.
8.
Max. And he also says 2020, 2021, he doesn't see this going anywhere. He calls it negative. I mean, so it's funny because early in the morning when this stock is running to the upside, I'm sitting there just going through the note going, you know, I don't see the real bull case here. I see a case of a guy who went to neutral very smartly, and he should, but the price target at 6, and he says the price range 5 to 8, that still tells me that he sees a lot of problems for the next 2 years.
It's a historic call. He made the call in May of 2016. The stock is down over 70-something% since he did that. It's lost
and the derivatives market,
$200 billion worth of market cap along the way. And to Pete's point,
for a great customer of the street,
and he's telling you there's still pension liabilities. He's telling you there's debt issues. There's still free cash flow issues. And then when you look at the company and see what they did today, listen, Lawrence Culp came in October. The stock, I believe, was 12. Basically, at the time, everyone bought it because of Lawrence Culp's reputation.
Huge
but
mistake.
They bought it because of his reputation.
Right. Big mistake. You can't do that because how long was that turn really projected to be?
And now you're seeing what Lawrence Culp is going to come in and do. 2 years ago, all we heard about was GE Digital. That was going to transform this company. They were actually calling it GE Digital Manufacturing. Now we're getting rid of GE Digital. We're back to just jet engines and turbines. So
here was the problem with Culp coming in. He is the answer for them right now. I truly believe that. The problem is that doesn't mean it doesn't make it a buy because what's the time frame that we're looking at? And the fact that it was $12 and there was plenty of room to the downside, I think Tusa was smart to stick with his guns and stay where he was. I also think he's smart today to go to that neutral call. He didn't go to a buy. He went to a neutral.
I said several times when Culp got the job and everybody was, head over heels. That of course, he's universally respected and not cheered, but approved of that move.
Yeah.
I mean, there was widespread approval of that move, and even at the time, we asked the question: that could be the greatest industrial CEO who's ever lived. It's not a miracle worker. Can't turn the ship around.
He didn't know what he had.
Okay, so
he had to figure it out.
Look at it this way.
Hold on. I'm sorry. In the interview that he did with Faber, not all that long ago, he couldn't really say at that moment that he'd seen the worst or the bottom was in as far as he thought. He hadn't had a time to really assess the whole thing. Now you're at a level where people are going to take a fresh look and say, okay, GE at $7. The biggest bear on the street has taken a little bit of he's taken the bear hat off.
The hat's off. Suit's still on. The hat's on.
Right?
Off.
Culp's the guy now. Is it worth a buy?
Do you think fundamentally?
Is it worth a flyer?
Do you think fundamentally the business has changed? If you do, does anyone on the desk want to buy the bonds of GE? Because that's where you would see the first option for you as an investor would be go buy the bonds if you think the fundamentals of this company change. Don't look at the equity.
Right. Joe's right. And also a negative on the equity, which Tusa himself brings up, is he's calling for cleaning up the balance sheet by issuing equity in the size of $25 billion. The market cap is under $60 billion. I just don't know. I mean, look, I've been around the street a long time. I don't know how capital markets are going to increase that number of shares. It's just not going to happen.
Look, here's how I look at it. He made a great call. For him, He's had enough.
Ring the
Let
bell.
me move to the sidelines, to Pete's
It's a
point.
smart move, right?
So I've been actually very successful at finding ways to lose money in this market. I'm not interested in adding another way by going with GE. Just because a stock is down doesn't mean it's less expensive. It can be more expensive. I believe that's the case with GE. Yep. I'd rather buy some fallen angels where I have better sense and where I believe the management has a better sense of the fundamentals going forward.